Our presentation is on domestic violence victims and music therapy, and it is by Skyler, Lowman, and Rebecca Miller. The issue we are focusing on is domestic violence victims and the benefits music therapy can have on their recovery and treatment. We believe that this is a very interesting population that can benefit greatly from music therapy through a variety of techniques that we have learned in class. We chose this population because women who experience domestic violence tend to be very isolated, which can amplify any pre-existing mental health issues as a result of their trauma. Music therapy, as we have learned, is very beneficial to those who feel isolated, which is very typical of someone who has experienced domestic violence. Music therapy can help someone express their emotions in a safe space, which is why we felt so compelled to focus our project on domestic violence victims, as we feel they can benefit greatly from music therapy. Music therapy can be very beneficial in promoting self-determination and group cohesion, while improving one's anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and a consequential loss of identity that one may feel. All of these are aspects that victims of domestic violence suffer from. The issue we are focusing on of domestic violence victims and the benefits that they can experience from music therapy, which will be reflected in our application, has a lot of support seen throughout literature and studies that we have read in class. We believe that this issue is very important for this vulnerable and sometimes overlooked population. How does this issue relate to social work? While domestic violence victims are a vulnerable population that social workers work with in order to help them recover and regain their identity, social workers work with a variety of vulnerable populations, including domestic violence victims, which is a group that needs immense support through services and therapy. Frequently, social workers will focus more on this population's tangible needs, such as finding them and their children shelter and food, as these are very important. However, this leaves the recovery process sometimes overlooked, leaving them with debilitating trust issues and constant fear. These are places where social workers can utilize music therapy to help the overall person grow and recover in a long-term sense. Social workers can use music therapy to allow victims a safe space to express their emotions and process their feelings. Two important core values of social work are service and dignity and worth of the person. Social workers are called to help those in need that are experiencing adversities by helping them address their issues. This can be done through therapy, such as music therapy. As we discussed, social workers usually help this population with their immediate needs, which is extremely important. However, music therapy could be crucial in their long-term recovery. Social workers must also recognize and respect the dignity and worth of every single person. This means that we must promote self-determination and empowerment of an individual while respecting their diversity, which is the goal of music therapy within this population. Why is this issue of particular and professional interest? Domestic violence victims interested us specifically because of their unique and intertwined recovery process that connects with much more than just surface-level issues. When studying music therapy, we thought it connected so deeply to similar aspects, especially focusing on expressing emotions when experiencing trauma that makes one silent and isolated. I have personally worked alongside First Step here in Harrisonburg throughout the past year, which has led to an interest in this population now and potentially in the future. I have always found this population very interesting for their perseverance, strength, and inspiration that they provide all of us, and especially their children if they have any. Therefore, when we started this class, I thought about how much this population could benefit from music therapy. This population and its benefits of music therapy are of professional interest because social workers do work with this population within the recovery process as well as music therapy. The two combined are of interest to the profession because it embodies social workers' mission and core values. Social workers strive to serve vulnerable populations like these to the best of their abilities and work with the whole person, their immediate and long-term needs. This issue is in the professional interest of social workers because it allows them a space to address all of this population's needs by diving into their emotional, mental, and physical needs all in one setting. Lastly, I'll discuss a brief summary of the literature that we read. The first article we read discussed how music therapy was connected with improving anxiety levels and sleep quality within this population. When paired with yogic breathing, it was found to be extremely beneficial to these victims. This study was performed with a sample of diverse populations found from all over the world, making it very unique but pointing out the universal benefits of music therapy amongst this population. In another study with victims from Mexico and Cuba, they found that music therapy promoted empowerment and group cohesion. Through a variety of different methods of music therapy, especially songwriting, this population was able to express their underlying feelings in a group setting, which helped with their mental state. This study analyzed various techniques that one could use in music therapy and concluded that all of these methods helped with this population's mental health issues in addressing their low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, and feelings of loss of identity. Another article discussed the language of victim, which can sometimes create a negative connotation and prohibit growth. The use of music therapy can be used to transform the status of victim to the status of thriving in a group setting. This study followed a group that was created solely of women who had experienced domestic violence and are now engaging in therapies together, such as art and music therapy. The result of this group has been a promotion of female empowerment, the loss of feeling of isolation, and an improvement in their overall mental health that has allowed them to move from victim to thriving. This next article discussed how music can be extremely beneficial and used as a healing tool for domestic violence survivors. This article discussed how music being used within a women's shelter led to an improved ability to manage emotions and group cohesion for the benefit of each victim. In this study, they placed music therapy sessions in a shelter for domestic violence victims, which led to feelings of inclusion and created bonds between the residents, which promoted their overall growth and recovery. The next article explained how children exposed to domestic violence suffer with many issues that can be improved through the use of music therapy. Music therapy encourages positive family relationships and allows for children to continue their developmental process without disruption of trauma. This study discussed the traumatic implications that result from children being exposed to domestic violence at any age. Many of these children suffer from PTSD and can therefore benefit greatly from music therapy. Music therapy with regards to children can help them build creativity and benefits the development of their brain. The last article discussed a group of men who were all exposed to domestic violence in their childhood and their correlation with gang affiliation. In this study, the researcher used music therapy to take each of these men back through their traumatic past and allow them to start the recovery process. This article was very interesting as it discussed recovery in an adult from a childhood trauma and how music could help with this recovery. The researcher used song selection to help alleviate underlying stressors that these men were unaware of. Overall, all of the literature was very informative in helping us understand the benefits of music therapy within this population, whether that be people directly affected by domestic violence or those who have witnessed it at a young age. We found this literature to be very inspiring as it demonstrated the power of music therapy.